The story begins with a high fantasy, magical setting under a starry sky. We see a hooded figure holding a glowing, magical artifact inside a lantern, while a fairy-like creature flies below. This establishes the primary setting, the Kingdom of Pharaons, and immediately clarifies that magicians hold the highest political and structural power in this world. The narrative shifts from setting the location to explaining the active conflict. The kingdom has been embroiled in a brutal civil war over who will take the throne. This creates high immediate stakes and tension, as we see that the climax of this long-lasting war is happening at this very moment. The scene cuts inside a grand, dimly lit throne room where a young prince is issuing a lethal command to his inner circle. "I'll eliminate 9th Prince Hines." Another prince competing for the throne declares his final move to secure power, assassinating his rival, the 9th Prince Hines. "I've been waiting for those words." A cunning advisor or high-ranking magician kneeling before the young prince responds. This shows that his followers are fiercely ambitious and have been eager for a ruthless, decisive strike. A wise decision. "The next king could be no one other than your highness." The advisor flatters the young prince, reinforcing his ego and validating the assassination plot as the only logical path to the throne. After that, we see the young prince reveals Hines's vulnerable location, a detached, isolated palace, and commands a complete massacre by ordering the slaughter of innocent servants and guards. "Your Highness," one of the muscular, heavily armored executioners or generals speaks up. The dark shading over his eyes and his stern expression imply deep hesitation, discomfort, or an ominous warning regarding the order. "What? If you have an opinion, say it quickly." The impatient prince snaps at the soldier for pausing, submitting to the intense pressure and the prince's authority. After that, we see an armored guard lies flat on his back, his head tilted backward. His eyes are wide with shock and complete disbelief. Bro is genuinely confused how he got cooked so easily. This guard was likely keeping watch outside or within the meeting hall. Before he could even process that an intruder had arrived, he was instantly neutralized. After that, we see a guy stands at the top of a grand staircase, looking down at the unconscious or dead guard sprawled on the floor. As we see, our protagonist has successfully infiltrated the stronghold, completely bypassing the outer defenses without raising an alarm. A close-up reveals the white-haired protagonist. He has striking glowing red eyes, messy white hair, a high dark collar/scarf, and fingerless gloves with wraps around his forearms. He smiles confidently and extends a hand forward in a calm but mocking gesture. "Sorry to interrupt your meeting. You're the second prince, right?" The protagonist has smoothly crashed a private meeting. He isn't there by accident. He has specifically targeted the second prince and is completely unfazed by the royal guards or the high-security environment. "Wah! Who are you? Who dares?" The second prince is completely caught off guard, terrified by the sudden appearance of our protagonist, and trying to mask his fear with royal outrage. After that, we see a man with long dark hair tied into a ponytail and a high purple collar steps forward defensively. In the background, the panicked second prince can be seen cowering near his throne. It seems a troublesome rat has snuck in. This is the prince's elite personal bodyguard. He steps in to protect his master, dismissively calling our protagonist a rat to assert his own superiority and calm the prince down. The bodyguard unleashes a high-speed, glowing aura attack. He lunges downward with immense force, kicking up dust and energy. As we see, our boy stands completely still below him, facing the attack without moving a muscle. The bodyguard attempts to finish the fight in a single, devastating blow, utilizing his magical or physical aura to crush our boy. As we see our protagonist's face as his glowing red eyes lock onto the descending attacker. Those red eyes! As the bodyguard gets closer, he notices the protagonist's distinct red eyes, which instantly triggers a realization about our protagonist's identity or heritage. The bodyguard smiles arrogantly as he closes the distance, looking down with pure condescension. In this sacred kingdom, the only filthy inferior race that possesses no magic whatsoever, a Galda non-magical. The bodyguard figures out what our protagonist's true identity is. In this fantasy world, the Sacred Kingdom, people of the Galda race are hated, discriminated against, and considered inferior because they have no magic powers. The bodyguard assumes that because the protagonist has no magic, he will be easy to kill. The bodyguard swings his weapon mid-air, full of smug confidence. "I'll tell you this, sneak attacks won't work on me." The bodyguard boasts about his own reaction speed, believing he has perfectly countered the protagonist's ambush. As we see a sudden, brutal shift in momentum, before the bodyguard can finish his sentence, the protagonist effortlessly reaches up and catches the bodyguard's attack barehanded. Sparkles of kinetic impact fly off the grip. The protagonist has successfully caught the bodyguard's weapon blade barehanded. With a smooth, effortless motion, he swings his other arm around to deliver a devastating close-quarter strike. Instantly transitioning from a defense to an offense, our boy leaves no room for the bodyguard to recover from the shock of his attack being caught. Brother's attacks are so mid. He got folded without even landing a single blow on our boy. After that, we see the bodyguard collapses face first onto the red-carpeted floor of a grand hall. "What are you doing?" Against a fist with no magic infused. The bodyguard is in absolute shock. The protagonist didn't use a flashy magic spell or a mana-infused aura. He defeated a powerful opponent using nothing but pure, raw physical strength. The arrogant bodyguard, who just a moment ago called our protagonist a filthy inferior rat, is now got humbled and cooked by our boy. As we see the young, second prince looking on in absolute terror, sweating and clutching his collar in fear. The protagonist's attack wasn't just a simple knockout. It was devastatingly lethal, triggering intense fear in second prince. As we see a X-ray style diagram explaining a martial arts move. A hand strikes a silhouette's nose, with a red arrow pointing directly through the nasal passage into the brain. Stillschlag fatal strike. When you hit the nasal bone at a specific angle, the bone fragments reach the brain. This explains the protagonist's specialized, dark martial arts technique called Stillschlag. It highlights his lethal anatomical knowledge, showing that he can bypass magical defenses by exploiting basic human biological vulnerabilities. As we see the protagonist walks forward calmly, his eyes shadowed and hidden by his white hair. The background is a dark, void-like purple, emphasizing his cold and menacing aura. When that happens, having magic or not doesn't matter. You're still human after all. The protagonist mocks the over-reliance on magic in this world. He asserts that no matter how powerful a mage's supernatural abilities are, their physical body is still fragile and mortal. As we see the second prince sweating profusely in shock. After that, we see our boy looking at somewhere. The protagonist notices a new threat or a sudden movement from his next opponent, instantly shifting his focus to him. As we see a new challenger steps up, an old and powerful mage decides to attack our protagonist, attempting to overwhelm him with magical lightning before he can get close. The long-haired mage smiles confidently as he begins chanting a spell. Purple lightning violently surges around him. Spiritus fulminis, spirit of lightning, gather in my hand. The mage is in the middle of casting a high-tier lightning spell, fully believing his magic will obliterate the protagonist. Before the mage can even finish his spell, our boy has already blitzed forward at godlike speed, closing the distance instantly to strike before the magic can manifest. As our boy said earlier, that magic is not everything in this fantasy world. Keeping true to his words, our boy doesn't stand around waiting for a mage to cast a spell. He utilizes his overwhelming physical speed to intercept and neutralize the threat before the magic ever leaves his opponent's hands. Kaifaster's Jaw Breaker. The name of the protagonist's second specific technique strike is revealed, designed to instantly shatter an opponent's jaw mechanism. As we see another anatomical X-ray diagram showing a human skull. The upper jaw area, maxilla, is highlighted in bright pink. I dislocated the maxilla suture. The protagonist internally narrates the medical precision of his strike. By dislocating the maxilla suture, he forces the mage's mouth open permanently, completely preventing him from speaking or completing any verbal spell incantations. After that we see the long-haired mage is brought to his knees, visibly trembling and sweating in defeat. Chanting is impossible now, so back down. Our boy delivers a cold reality check. In many fantasy worlds, high-tier spells require verbal chants. By physically dominating the mage, the protagonist has completely neutralized the mage's ability to fight back, advising him to surrender before things get worse. As we see the mage's face, his eyes are wide with manic fury and desperation, and sweat drips down to his face as he refuses to accept the humiliation. Don't mock me. The mage's pride is severely wounded. Being told to back down by someone who appears to be a non-magic user feels like an unbearable insult to an elite magic caster. Bro still thinks he can defeat our boy talking about his pride. Bro seriously thinks he's Vegeta or something. Driven by rage, the mage lunges forward, swinging a magical staff with a glowing blue gemstone to unleash a spell without verbalizing it. I don't need chanting. The mage tries to prove his superiority by attempting a silent cast, a high-level technique meant to catch the protagonist off guard. As we see our boy, his eyes glow a piercing, menacing red aura, signaling intense focus and lethal intent as he easily reacts to the mage's sudden movement. Rather than being panicked by the silent spell, our boy is entirely unfazed. His glowing eyes suggest he possesses enhanced physical perceptions, allowing him to track and counter the attack flawlessly. After that, we see a shot of a massive, red-carpeted grand staircase. Our boy has closed the distance instantly, sending the mage flying backward through the air. The mage's staff is knocked loose, and sharp ice or stone shards shatter around him. Our boy head completely obliterates the mage's last-ditch effort. The sheer force of his god-like physical speed and strength shatters the mage's spell and cooked him instantly. As we see our boy stands tall and calm, just aura farming on everybody he cooked. The dust, looking down at the mage that just got packed up by our boy. I warned you. He reinforces his absolute dominance. The line highlights his pragmatic nature. He gave them a fair chance to survive, and their defeat is entirely the result of their own stubborn pride. As we see the second prince crawls backward on the floor in absolute terror, staring at our boy. An A-rank swordsman and magician. In an instant, without magic, impossible. The second prince provides the power scaling. The mage who was just cooked by our boy wasn't weak. He was a powerful, elite dual-class A-rank combatant. The fact that our boy defeated someone that's strong without using a single drop of magic breaks the fundamental rules of this world's combat logic. After that, we see our boy looks directly at the terrified second prince. A faint, glowing blue aura radiating around his white hair. Why are you so surprised? There's no rule saying you can't defeat magic users without magic, is there? Our boy highlights his unique mindset, while the rest of society relies heavily on magical ranks and status. He relies purely on raw, refined martial skill and lethal efficiency to bypass conventional magical defenses. The second prince panics, drawing his sword in a desperate, shaky stance to defend himself. Why you? Are you an assassin hired by Heinz? Terrified and looking for answers, the second prince tries to identify who sent this monster after them. As our boy stares back with a calm, almost bored expression, completely unbothered by the drawn sword. I am an assassin, but I'm not hired. I'm doing this as a favor for a friend. Our boy clarifies the situation with a chilling distinction. He isn't working for gold or political gain. He is handling this high-stakes assassination purely out of personal loyalty to a friend. As we see the second prince, Bro is frozen in confusion and fear. After that, we see he snaps out of his shock, expression shifting into a manic, arrogant grin. Don't be ridiculous. A friend of royalty? You livestock Galda non-magical scum. Our boy has claimed to be a friend or equal to a royal figure. The prince reacts with absolute disgust, as we see a stark flashback sequence bathed in ominous red light. It shows enslaved humans being chained up, forced to carry heavy stones, and broken apart from their families. At the bottom, as we see our boy stares forward with an icy, vengeful glare. The prince's use of the word livestock triggers a flashback for our boy. we see why he is driven by revenge. He witnessed his people being treated literally as slave labor and cattle by the ruling class. After that, we see the heavy, armored boots of our boy standing tall, while second prince has been knocked flat on his back, sliding away in total terror. How much were you paid? Tell me. I'll pay you double, no triple. Realizing that his status and insults won't save him, the prince immediately resorts to cowed bribery. He assumes our boy is just a mercenary who can be bought out with royal wealth. As we see a classic stylized depiction of a brutal, fatal slash. Our boy ruthlessly cuts the prince down mid-sentence, rejecting his offer without a second thought. After that, we see the prince who just got slimed by our boy, his body pooling in dark blood. As our boy walks away, his back turned to the corpse. We're not livestock. Our boy delivers his final, cold line to the prince's earlier insults. It cements his resolve to overthrow this oppressive magical world that views regular humans as animals. After that, we see a white marble and gold coffin surrounded by funeral flowers. The second prince's death was announced as death by illness, as we see a zoomed-out view of a grand royal cathedral or palace hall. Figures clad in ceremonial blue robes gather around the coffin for a public funeral next to a flowing indoor fountain. To save face and avoid widespread panic about an assassin targeting royalty, the kingdom covers up everything. They lie to the public, claiming the second prince passed away from a sudden sickness rather than acknowledging he got slimed by the non-magical scum they look down upon. After that, we see a luxurious royal room at night. A sophisticated blonde man sits on a plush red sofa under a glowing magical crystal lamp, reading a book. As we see a close-up of the blonde man, he notices something, indicated by the white surprise lines near his head, pausing his reading. After that, we see our boy sits on a high ledge or window frame against a starry night sky. He has a calm, slightly amused expression. "Excuse me." Our boy makes his presence known, likely slipping into a secure royal area or balcony unnoticed. His casual greeting contrasts with the high-stakes environment. As we see the blonde royal figure with striking blue eyes, dressed in elegant, light-colored noble attire with a rose-shaped clasp and holding a book. Heinz. So we finally met Heinz, who the second prince earlier was calling his rival for the throne, revealing that Prince Heinz is a trusted, secret friend of our boy. As we see a wide shot of the massive stone castle tower balcony at night, the prince and our boy stand together overlooking the kingdom. "Good work with my brother." The prince praises our boy for successfully completing the mission involving his brother, the second prince. This implies that our boy had slimed the second prince for his friend Prince Heinz to clear his path to succession. After that, we see our boy stands before the prince, illuminated by a warm glow from inside the tower. He has a subtle smile, though his eyes remain sharp. "Congratulations. How does it feel to achieve your long-held dream?" Our boy offers his congratulations, acknowledging the massive political victory they just secured, and asks the prince how it feels to finally have the crown within reach. "What are you talking about?" The prince abruptly cuts our boy off, rejecting the idea that his primary motivation was purely selfish ambition or just a personal dream of power. After that, we see the prince turns back dynamically, hair blowing in the wind, looking majestic against the blue, starry night sky. This is where our dream begins. The prince corrects our boy, shifting the narrative from a solo achievement to a shared vision. "When I ascend the throne, I will definitely eliminate discriminatory policies against the Galda non-magical race." The core motivation of the prince is revealed. He wants power specifically to overthrow the systemic oppression facing the Galda race because, as we know, they cannot use magic. "I won't let them call you livestock anymore." As we know in this society, non-magical people are dehumanized to the point of being treated like animals or property, livestock. The prince's ultimate goal is to restore our boy's dignity and human rights. As we see our boy, his eyes, now noticeably glowing red, soften into a genuine, loyal smile. "I believe you'll definitely do it." Moved by the prince's conviction, our boy reaffirms his deep trust and loyalty. The tone shifts slightly back to the reality of their current situation. By the way, you'll attend my coronation, right? If a Galda were in such a place, they'd be thrown out. The prince invites our boy to his official crowning ceremony to share the victory publicly. Our boy playfully but realistically declines, reminding the prince of the harsh reality. The kingdom is still deeply prejudiced, and a non-magical Galda appearing at a royal coronation would cause an immediate uproar. Don't worry, I won't allow such a thing. The prince is reassuring our boy. He has likely voiced a concern or made a request regarding public perception, policy, or a potential conflict. The prince is firmly putting his mind at ease. I'm going to be king. This is a playful yet confident declaration. By waving his hand and smiling, the prince is casually reminding our boy of his impending authority, essentially saying, "Hey, I'm the future king. I have the power to make sure things go smoothly." I appreciate the sentiment, but our boy is acknowledging the prince's kind intentions. But his trailing thought suggests he is being more pragmatic or cautious than the idealistic future king. Don't cause trouble right after taking the throne. Our boy delivers a grounded piece of advice. He is warning the prince not to make radical moves or force changes too quickly, as a brand new king is politically vulnerable. His slight smirk shows the close, comfortable camaraderie they share. It takes time to change people's consciousness. I can wait patiently. This is a deeply revealing line about our boy's true character. He understands human nature and politics. He knows you cannot force a population to change their minds or accept a new reality overnight. He is telling the prince to play the long game, assuring him that he is willing to wait for society to catch up. Understood. I'm grateful for your consideration. The prince takes our boy's advice to heart. Looking out over the kingdom, he drops the playful attitude and genuinely thanks our boy for looking out for his political stability and well-being. The prince pauses, lost in thought for a moment as he looks up at the sky. A new realization or idea hits him regarding our boy's current situation. Then why don't you return home for a while? The days of battle are over. I want you to get some rest. Now that the war or major conflict has finally concluded and the kingdom is secure. The prince realizes that our boy no longer needs to be on the front lines. He is officially relieving his friend of his burdens, offering him a well-deserved break to recover from the trauma of past battles. That's a good idea. I'll do that. Our boy smiles warmly and genuinely. For a protagonist who has likely known nothing but constant fighting, the idea of peace and a normal life is a massive relief. He readily accepts the offer. Spend time with your family. The prince drives home the ultimate goal of peace, reconnection. He wants our boy to step away from being a weapon or a political figure and simply be a son, brother, or family man again. After that, we see a bright full moon. In the far distance sits the massive royal castle. Representing the grand world of politics and kingship, the prince must now rule. In the foreground, nestled quietly in the valley, is a small, humble cottage. This visually signifies our boy's transition, leaving the heavy, chaotic world of the palace behind to go back to his simple, quiet roots. After that, we see a pair of heavily built, vascular hands wringing out a wet cloth over a traditional wooden washbasin. Water droplets are visibly squeezing out, emphasizing a moment of quiet, mundane relief after intense exertion. We see our boy from the back, flexing his muscular build. He is using the towel to wipe down his back, which is heavily crisscrossed with prominent, thick geometric scars. After that, we see our boy. His torso is incredibly toned, covered in the same grid-like, glowing red scars. He holds up a lit oil lantern, illuminating a weathered brick wall behind him. A wide shot of the room shows him standing in the center of what looks like a study or a secret archives room. To the left is a wooden training dummy, and the foreground features a desk cluttered with stacks of ancient books and loose papers. As we see a close-up of the desk highlights open grimoires filled with complex magical circles, alchemical diagrams, and cryptic runic text, suggesting he is researching magic or anatomy. As we see, our boy holds the lantern up to an anatomical chart on the wall showing a human skeleton and muscular system. The battle is over. Huh. He is reflecting on a conflict that has just concluded. This explains even though he is very strong and master in martial arts. But he still wants to use magic, researching that one day somehow he'll also be able to learn and use magic. After that, we see a past scene, an outdoor setting, reflecting on a conversation by a lakeside. Sunlight streams through dense forest trees down onto a dark body of water. Because I have no magic, I can't be detected either. After that, we see young Prince Haneyes and our boy sitting peacefully on the grass, looking out over a sparkling blue lake. That's certainly an advantage as an assassin. The prince acknowledges that his lack of magic makes him the perfect stealth weapon. He can bypass magical detection barriers effortlessly. As we see, the prince warns him about the terrifying nature of the enemies they are about to face next. We see a close-up shot of the prince. His expression is solemn, worried, and deeply serious. But the opponents will fight from now on. The prince is transitioning from praising our boy's unique stealth advantage to delivering a grim reality check about their future targets. After that, we see a dramatic, glowing magenta magic circle showcasing spectral projections of the enemy types they must face. The kingdom's greatest magicians. A looming, faceless figure in regal blue and gold robes holding a glowing magical staff. Magic swordsman. A warrior in light armor low to the ground, unsheathing a glowing blade coated in mana. Magical warriors. A martial artist in midair delivery of a kick, his limbs glowing with physical enhancement magic. Against countless masters who've perfected magic, can you really win? This is the crux of the conflict. While being undetectable is a great stealth advantage, it means he lacks the raw destructive power, defensive barriers, and physical enhancements that magic provides. The prince is openly doubting whether a man with pure physical skill can survive a head-on clash against the absolute pinnacle of the kingdom's magical military. Then I'll learn magic too. This establishes our boy's sheer determination. Despite whatever setbacks or limitations he currently faces, he is declaring a definitive turning point in his life. He isn't just hoping to learn magic. He is resolving to do it as a necessity to achieve his goals. As we focus on Prince's face, he has a visible sweat drop runs down his cheek, indicating his shock. But you have no magic. The prince delivers the cold, hard truth of this world system. As we know in this fantasy world, having no magic, lacking mana, usually means it is fundamentally impossible to cast spells. His expression shows he cares for him but believes his goal is an impossible delusion. After that, we see a flashback showing our boy when he was young, hunched over a massive, open magical grimoire under dim candlelight, studying intensely. I'll know magic better than anyone in this world. Our boy answers the prince's skepticism with pure effort, since he cannot instinctively manipulate mana like naturally gifted mages. He decides to master the theory and absolute mechanics of magic to a degree that surpasses even the greatest scholars. He compensates for a lack of talent with absolute obsession. We see our boy shirtless, covered in sweat and dirt, furiously striking a wooden training dummy with his fists, and polish the martial arts to overcome it. Our boy recognizes that theoretical knowledge alone won't save him if he lacks raw power. By combining an absolute understanding of magic with peak physical martial arts mastery, he plans to bridge the gap and defeat magic users using physical supremacy. As we see the prince smiling gently at him, the sweat drop is still there, showing he still finds his path crazy. But he respects his spirit. I see. That's just like you. The prince realizes that trying to talk our boy out of his plans is useless. This line highlights his established character trait. He is someone who tackles impossible odds through sheer, stubborn willpower. We see a close-up of hands closing an old, worn leather book filled with complex magical circles, seals, and ancient runes. It symbolizes the end of his long, grueling period of research and isolation. The book closing represents a completed chapter of his training. After that, we see our boy, now significantly older, taller, and more mature, stands over a massive stack of heavily read, smoking magical texts. He has a towel over his shoulders and a confident smile. It really was a long battle. This is the payoff of his many years of intense training. Our boy looks back on years of sleepless nights, intense physical conditioning, and mental exhaustion. The battle wasn't against an enemy, but against his own physical limitations, and his smile proves he won. After that, we see the setting shifts from the dark, isolated training environments to the bright, open world. This marks the official start of our boy's journey outside of his training grounds. We see a merchant in a white apron stands behind a wooden crate filled with pineapples, laughing and calling out to customers. "Welcome. I'll give you a good price. Come take a look." The merchant is enthusiastically calling out a man in a dark, hooded cloak, using typical vendor tactics to grab attention and promote his rare items. As we see, the hooded figure was none other than our boy. Wearing a brown hooded cloak, looks at a display of pineapples. "It's been a while since I've been home. Maybe I should buy a souvenir." Our boy spots an item that is highly unusual or hard to find in his current location and considers bringing it back for someone close to him. As we see a brief flashback of our boy's young sister with dark hair smiling brightly, happily hugging 2 pineapples while receiving a gentle head pat. She always loved these. She'll cry with joy. This establishes his motivation. He remembers how much his sister loves this specific fruit and anticipates her happy reaction. We see our boy smiling gently under his hood as he decides to make the purchase. He stands at the counter of an outdoor market stall, addressing a bald merchant wearing a blue shirt and white apron. "Mister, I'll take one of those fruits." "Sure thing, regular customer." At first glance, the shopkeeper assumes this is just a standard, routine transaction with a normal customer. Our boy tilts his head slightly, giving the merchant a clearer view of his face. We see the merchant's expression instantly sours into an annoyed, hateful glare. The moment the merchant recognizes our boy's distinct traits, likely his red eyes or a specific racial feature, his attitude completely flips. The merchant angrily points to a sign hanging on his stall featuring a crossed-out symbol. He aggressively refuses service, holding a knife or tool menacingly. "Get lost. Can't you read? We don't sell to Galda here." As we know, our boy belongs to a race known as the Galda, and the shop explicitly discriminates against them, banning them from buying goods. We see our boy's eyes are cast in deep shadow beneath his hood. His expression goes blank or tightens, holding back his immediate reaction to the blatant disrespect. As we see, our boy doesn't argue or fight. Instead, he pulls out 2 incredibly high-value platinum coins. The merchant's eyes widen in sheer shock and greed as our boy casually takes the coins back. Rather than reacting with violence, our boy uses overwhelming wealth to break the merchant's prejudice. The value of the coins is clearly far higher than the price of a single pineapple, forcing the greedy shopkeeper to reconsider his rules. "Will you sell or not? Which is it?" We see our boy holds up silver coins between his fingers, staring down at the merchant. Our boy is attempting a basic transaction, buying fruits, but his presence alone is causing severe tension. He is demanding a simple answer to a simple purchase, hinting at the systemic discrimination he routinely faces. "Look, isn't that a Galda?" 2 onlookers in the background watch him with expressions of disgust, disdain, and anxiety. As we see, people recognizes our boy's true identity. To the public, Galda is a label for a specific, heavily stigmatized group of people. Why is he walking through the royal capital so boldly? Another set of these gooners mutters angrily as they watch him pass. This establishes the setting, the royal capital, and shows that people like our boy are expected to stay hidden, live in slums, or act submissively. Walking openly with his head held high is seen by the magical citizens as an act of defiance. "Don't get close. You'll catch the curse and lose your magic." After that, we see our boy walking down a stone street carrying a brown paper bag of groceries. The citizens actively stay in the shadows, physically distancing themselves from him. This reveals the profound ignorance and deep-rooted prejudice of the ruling class. They view his lack of magic not just as a trait, but as an infectious, terrifying curse that can strip them of their own societal power. "You can't catch it." We see our boy looking downcast but resigned. His internal thoughts cut through the citizens' ignorance. He knows the truth. Their fear of catching It is entirely psychological and biologically impossible, used merely to justify their hatred. The only race in the world that possesses absolutely no magic. This transitions the scene into the official lore. In a fantasy world where magic is likely universal, the Galda are a genetic anomaly defined entirely by their complete emptiness of magical energy. Galda, non-magical race, ancient kings decided. A glowing, regal crown illuminated by a single spotlight in the dark. This explains that the oppression isn't accidental. It was engineered from the very top. The ancient monarchs of this world deliberately built a legal and societal structure designed to subjugate them. Let's make the Galda non-magical race livestock for the Alxal magical race, creating differences in systems and evaluations based on magic quantity. The magical race exploits the non-magical race. A glowing orb of raw magical energy sits above stacks of gold and silver coins, representing the wealth accumulated by the magical ruling race, the Alxal. This explicitly names the oppressors, the Alxal. They use a caste system based strictly on a person's magical capacity. Because the Galda have zero magic, they are legally stripped of human rights and reduced to the status of livestock to generate wealth for the elites, while being used for life-threatening hard labor and as advanced troops in wars. Only heavy taxation is equal. We see a bleak, fiery canyon where a Galda worker climbs a ladder under duress, while another lies dead on the ground, riddled with arrows amidst raging flames. The Alxal use the Galda as expendable assets. They are forced into dangerous mining or construction work and used as cannon fodder, advanced troops sent first to absorb enemy attacks during wartime. Despite having no rights or income parity, they are still forced to pay massive, crushing taxes. Whenever social unrest and dissatisfaction with the monarchy rise, massacres of the non-magical race continue. We see soldiers with raised swords slaughtering defenseless people against a backdrop of a city burning to the ground. This reveals the monarchy's ultimate political survival tactic. Whenever the Alxal citizens start turning against the government due to poor living conditions or political unrest, the monarchy intentionally diverts the public's anger toward the Galda, staging state-sponsored massacres to give the populace a scapegoat. The nation turns a blind eye to it all. All disasters in this country are the fault of the cursed race, Galda. A convenient outlet for the magical race's frustrations. For the monarchy. This explains about the ruling monarchy and the dominant magical race deliberately blame this group for every misfortune and disaster in the kingdom. It is a calculated political move to divert the public's anger and frustration away from the government and onto a helpless scapegoat, while society intentionally ignores the injustice. It makes me sick. We see our boy's face. His eyes are hidden in shadow, but his teeth are clenched in pure rage and disgust. He despises the corruption of the monarchy and deeply resents the systemic hatred directed toward his people or the innocent Galda. In this world, will the day really come when everyone in the village can live with smiles? After that, we see our boy walking down the street, carrying a brown paper bag of groceries. The surrounding villagers stand at a distance, completely avoiding him. Their bodies are cast in cold blue and gray shadows, contrasting sharply with the warm light hitting our boy. His internal monologue reveals a tragic, hopeful longing for a future where his community doesn't have to live in fear. Hey, wait up! The somber mood is suddenly broken, as we see a young child with reddish-brown hair is running playfully through the street. The child trips and falls face-first onto the hard stone pavement. As we see a close-up of the child crying in pain, tears welling up in his large amber eyes, having scraped his face. Hearing the child cry, our boy stops and turns around. A cold sweat breaks out on his face, and his expression hardens with sudden panic and anxiety. Are you okay? Despite the immense danger of exposing his identity in public, our boy's innate kindness wins out. He drops to one knee to help the fallen child. Big brother has red eyes. However, as he pulls the child up, the kid looks directly into his face and innocently points out his crimson eyes. As our boy realizes his secret has just been exposed to the village, we see our boy has a soft smile and a bead of sweat on his cheek, indicating a mixture of relief and a slight awkwardness, as we see the young child with wide, sparkling golden eyes. Brimming with pure excitement and admiration, the child pumps his fists in the air, surrounded by classic comic-style sparkles. They're really cool. Our boy looks surprised, his eyes widening slightly as the child's unfiltered praise catches him off guard. It's a moment of quiet realization for him. After that, we see the village street. The young child is running away back toward two figures in the background, likely parents or guardians, waving enthusiastically. The child shouts back a grateful farewell. "Thanks, big brother." As our boy watches the child walk away, a warm, genuine smile now on his face. His inner thoughts reveal his progressive outlook on the world's social divide. "You're welcome. We're all the same humans." After that, we see a symbolic flashback or memory of our boys and Prince Heinz standing on a floating or elevated geometric plane against a bright sky, sharing a fist bump. Magical and non-magical races will surely join hands someday, just like Heinz and I did. This country can be changed. No, he and I will definitely change it. This is where it all begins. As we know, this world is heavily divided between magical and non-magical races, likely plagued by discrimination or war. Our boy and the prince have formed an alliance with the ambitious goal of reforming their country and bringing peace between the two factions. After that, we see a quiet, starry night over a dense forest. Our boy is walking through the woods, still carrying the bag of groceries. "I'm really late. 10 years. I wonder if they'll both be happy to see my face." This explains that 10 years have passed since he was young. Now he is returning home after a long absence, feeling anxious but hopeful about re-encountering two specific people from his past. After that, we see a transitions back to daytime, showing a cozy, round wooden cabin by a flowing river. Smoke is rising from the chimney, but there is an ominous undertone. A large cutting knife is stabbed firmly into a tree stump outside. "I don't know where you go to work, but when you come back, bring a wife with you." "That's right, big brother." We see a past scene of our boy's family is gathered in a rustic, stone-carved kitchen. The mother is cooking at a large hearth pot while our boy tends to the fire. His younger sister chimes in playfully from the background, blindsiding him with marriage talk as he prepares to leave. "You have to introduce her before you get married." "Hey, I'm going there to work." As we see a close-up shot showing a sweet sibling dynamic. Our boy gently pinches his sister's cheek while breaking a nervous sweat, trying to steer her expectations back to reality. He reminds her that his upcoming journey is strictly for labor and livelihood, not romance. "Well, since you've decided, give it your all." The mother pours hot, homemade soup into a rustic wooden bowl. As we focus is on the simple, earthy ingredients, mushrooms, grounding the family's modest, rural lifestyle. But if it gets tough, we see the family sitting around a circular dinner table. The lighting creates a somber yet cozy mood as the gravity of his departure begins to set in for everyone. "You can always come back home." A warm, soft close-up of the mother smiling reassuringly. She wants her son to pursue his ambitions but ensures he knows he has an unconditional safety net if the outside world treats him poorly. "When you do, I'll make that mushroom soup you love so much." His younger sister gives a bright, wide-eyed smile, promising a comfort meal for his eventual return. This heavily reinforces the theme of family comfort before a long journey. "Take care and go safely." We see the family sharing a tight three-way hug. Floating prominently above them is a mysterious, glowing red orb necklace with a small woven banner attachment, serving as a symbolic transition item. After that, we see a close-up of our boy's hand clutching the glowing red artifact. This acts as a tangible keepsake from his family or a crucial magical tool needed for his journey ahead. As we see our boy outside under a night sky, his white hair and red eyes are vividly highlighted by the magical glow of the amulet. He sports a bittersweet, confident smile, showing his resolve to make his family proud. After that, we see a tense, dramatic close-up of our boy's foot stepping forward onto cracked, stone terrain. Embers and bright orange sparks dance around the ground, signaling that he is entering a dangerous, burning area. We see our boy stands at the edge of a high cliff, cloaked in a dark robe, looking down at an absolute war zone or disaster. An entire village below is being utterly consumed by a massive, raging inferno, with smoke and fire billowing high into the sky. We see a close-up of our boy's face as he realizes the sheer scale of the destruction. With a stunned, breathless expression. A single speech captures his shock perfectly. Huh! A massive, chaotic forest fire consumes the background. The intense heat causes embers to fly everywhere. A fire? Our boy has just discovered a sudden disaster. He is shocked and confused at how or why this fire started. We see a close-up of our boy's face against a stark, red-streaked background indicative of pure adrenaline or fear. He is sweating, his jaw is dropped in panic, and his distinct red eyes are wide with worry. Is everyone safe? His immediate instinct isn't to flee the fire, but to check if the nearby villagers are safe or not. After that, we see our boy is seen from a mid-distance perspective. He is looking around frantically as the forest burns heavily around him. Is everyone okay? Where is everyone? He calls out blindly into the smoke, realizing that the area is eerily quiet apart from the roaring flames. As we see a body lying face down motionless in the grass. Our boy spots the person on the ground and cuts off his shouting mid-sentence, rushing over to help. We see our boy drops to his knees next to the fallen person. He gently places his hand on his back to check for a pulse or breathing, his expression full of desperate hope. Hey, are you all right? He is still trying to remain hopeful that the person has just passed out from smoke inhalation. As we see a close-up shot focused on the victim's back. Two massive, deep slash wounds are visible, dripping with fresh blood that has stained the clothing. This is the turning point of the scene. Our boy realizes this wasn't an accidental forest fire or a simple natural disaster. This was a violent, intentional massacre. As we see our boy's face, specifically focusing on his dilated, glowing red pupils, his mind is racing as he processes the horrific nature of the wounds. The realization of what happened sets in. As we see a towering tree silhouetted against the bright fire. Hanging from a thick branch are three lifeless bodies tied up by their necks. What? Our boy looks up from the ground only to see an even grander display of cruelty. His voice trails off as the sheer scale of the horror hits him. We see a young woman with wavy light brown hair lying dead in the grass, blood pooling around her mouth and neck. This personalizes the tragedy further, likely showing someone close to our boy or highlighting the completely defenseless nature of the victims. As we see our boy, his eyes are bloodshot and wide with a mix of absolute horror, grief, and boiling hatred. The background turns a violent, dark crimson. What the hell is this? This is an intense emotional trauma for our boy. The initial panic has completely morphed into devastating fury as he demands answers from the empty, burning forest. A bandit attack? Our boy is confused and shocked. At first, he believes the fire and destruction around him were caused by ordinary bandits. But there's no need to go this far. This shows that something feels wrong. The attack is way too brutal and excessive for simple robbery. Mom and Lena aren't here. The moment he realizes his mother and little sister are missing, panic hits him instantly. His wide eyes and frozen expression show pure fear. He's no longer worried about himself. His only concern is finding his family alive. We see he desperately runs through the burning village while praying. The flames around him symbolize chaos and hopelessness, but he keeps moving forward because he refuses to accept that his family could be dead. It was all for them. The reason I kept fighting was. This reveals our boy's true motivation. Everything he endured, every struggle and hardship, was never for fame, money, or power. He fought only to protect his mother and little sister and give them a peaceful life. The expression on his face is filled with desperation and emotional collapse. This country. I wanted to make it a place where Mom and Lena could live with smiles. This is an emotional flashback of his dream. The warm, glowing scene of his mother and little sister contrasts heavily with the burning village scenes. His dream was simple, safety and happiness for them. He wanted to change the country into a better place for innocent people like them. After that, we see our boy suddenly notices a body hanging from a tree in the middle of the flames. The entire atmosphere changes here. The fire becomes quieter. The scene feels cold and horrifying. His body freezes in fear before his mind fully processes what he's seeing. As we see, a close-up of his eyes shows complete shock and terror. His pupils shrink because deep down he already understands who the hanging person is. We see he slowly reaches toward the hanging body. The small hand touching her leg makes the scene even more tragic because it shows he still wants comfort from his mother, but now she's lifeless. The fire around them symbolizes how his entire world is collapsing. As a close-up of the mother's face confirms the horrifying truth. Her eyes are empty and lifeless. The shadow over her face creates a haunting atmosphere. This is the exact moment where our boy's emotions completely break. Scenes like this are usually the turning point that creates the protagonist's future hatred, revenge, or obsession with becoming stronger. We see a close-up of our boy's face shows his mind completely breaking. At this moment, he's no longer thinking calmly. Seeing his mother hanging in front of him pushes him into emotional insanity. The red background intensifies the feeling that his emotions are exploding inside him. This is a lie. Our boy falls into denial. Even while staring directly at his mother's body, his mind refuses to accept reality. This is a very human reaction to trauma. He wants to believe this nightmare isn't real. Big bro? Suddenly, he hears his little sister's weak voice. This changes the entire emotional direction of the scene. From complete despair to a tiny spark of hope. His expression instantly changes from emotional collapse to shock and urgency. Lena. After that, we see our boy finally finds his little sister alive. We see she is collapsed on the blood-stained grass, her legs visibly injured and bleeding. Our boy screams her name in panic, rushing over to pull her away from death's door. Hang in there. What happened? We see our boy cradles his little sister in his arms, desperately trying to assess her injuries while holding her off the cold ground. He tries to keep her conscious and demands to know who committed this atrocity. Run! There are people looking for Big Brother. We see a close-up of his little sister's face. She is bloodied, weak, and looking up at him with fading strength, prioritizing his safety over her own life. She reveals that this wasn't a random attack. It was an ambush specifically designed to hunt him down. They're after me? We see our boy looks down in a mixture of guilt and sudden realization, sweat dripping down his face as the weight of her words hits him. He realizes that the destruction of his village and the suffering of his family is entirely because of him. Remnants of the second prince's faction? That can't be. As we see a dark, blood-red, textured background representing his chaotic, dark thoughts. He mentally pieces together the political entities or enemies responsible, recognizing a ruthless faction he thought was dealt with or wouldn't strike here. I got it. Don't talk anymore. Big Brother will carry you to safety. He holds his little sister tightly against his chest, refusing to let her speak any further to conserve her strength, and vows to save her. He tries to shut out the horror and focus entirely on saving his little sister. A stark white background where a single droplet of blood falls, splashing into a dark, crimson pool on the grassy ground below. Without any words spoken, this heavy beat signifies that his little sister has gone limp, succumbing to her wounds right in his arms. His promise to carry her to safety has cut short in pure tragedy. As we see our boy's face, he is looking down in shock or disbelief, sweat pouring down his face. With this much blood loss, our boy is assessing a critical situation and realizing, with a sense of dread, that his little sister is continuously bleeding out and got beyond saving. We see his little sister is bleeding from the mouth, coughing or gasping for air. He gently reaches up to hold her. She is using the very last of her fading strength to speak to him, attempting to comfort him before she slips away. As we see a soft, warmly lit, sepia-toned flashback memory. It shows his little sister joyfully stirring a large cooking pot over a fire while the mother watches over her proudly. I got really good at cooking. In her final moments, She looks back on her life and a simple, heartwarming achievement she was proud of. She wanted to share her growth with him. Back to the present. We see she smiles weakly, tears streaming down her blood-stained face as she looks up at her brother. I wanted Big Brother to try it. This line delivers a heavy emotional blow. Her final regret isn't about dying or losing her life, but simply that she never got the chance to share her cooking with her beloved Big Brother. We see a stark close-up of our boy's face. His red eyes are trembling, fixed on her, and a single tear falls from his eye. Our boy is completely devastated and paralyzed by grief, forced to watch his little sister die right in front of him. We see her bloodied hand is resting gently against her big brother's cheek as he leans down closer to her. As we see our boy's tearful face as his sister's hand cradles his cheek. Don't blame yourself. Knowing her brother's nature, she uses her final breaths to try and protect him from the crushing guilt and psychological trauma that her death will inevitably cause him. We see her limp, blood-stained hand slips away from his face and falls downward, indicates the slow, heavy sliding motion of her hand falling. Her hand drops as she loses consciousness or passes away mid-sentence. Her final thought was purely dedicated to clearing him of any blame. We see a wider shot showing the setting sun over a grassy field. Our boy is collapsed over her lifeless body, cradling her. Lena, our boy calls out to her in total despair, realizing she is truly gone. The tone shifts to a bloody red background. Our boy is kneeling, his face cast in shadow, completely consumed by rage and grief. But suddenly we see a large, broad blade has brutally pierced entirely through his torso from behind. Bright red blood splatters forward out of the wound. A knight in full-plate armor thrusts a blood-stained sword straight into the back of our boy, as the other royal soldiers look on, celebrating the victory. Well done. As expected of a royal guard. A wide shot reveals the battlefield engulfed in flames. The victorious knights raise their swords in the air, standing over our boy who is collapsed on the ground, still holding his little sister to protect her. We've defeated Van, the leader of the rebels. We see the main royal guard, holding his bloody blade, looks down at our boy in surprise. He notices something unusual about how the final blow landed. You still won't fall? We see a close-up reveals our boy's glowing red eyes, coughing up blood but showing no fear. A brief flashback showing the sword piercing through him is shown as the knight processes what happened. That last strike you made, you deliberately didn't dodge it, did you? Our boy looks down at the lifeless body of his little sister, whom he was trying to protect. He has completely lost his will to live. There's nothing left. That I want to live to protect. The royal guard closes his eyes in a moment of solemn respect or pity. He raises his sword high above his head to deliver a swift, finishing blow to end our boy's suffering. How pitiful. At least let me give you an easy death. We see a close-up of our boy. He is looking down, his face cast heavily in shadow, bleeding as he barely holds onto his consciousness. Let me ask one last thing too. Our boy is at death's door, witnessing the destruction of everything he cares about. He uses his final moments to demand an explanation from the royal knight. As we see a devastating view of the village completely engulfed in raging flames. Buildings are collapsing under the fire. Why do we have to die? Who ordered this? He is demanding to know the reason behind the genocide of his people and who could possibly possess the authority and cruelty to command it. As the knight with a sinister, mocking smirk creeps across his face. The knight begins to answer, starting to attribute the order directly to the royal prince our boy trusted, before correcting his phrasing to sound more grand. A backdrop of intense, roaring fire, symbolizing the absolute destruction of our boy's homeland. His sacred decision. The Galda non-magical race is unnecessary for this country. The knight reveals the brutal truth. The prince deemed our boy's people, the Galda, a race devoid of magic, useless to the kingdom, ordering their systematic extermination. As we see, our boy's face is twisted in pure shock and agony. Blood drips from his mouth, and his eyes turn a glowing, furious red. You're lying. He would never say such a thing. Our boy refuses to believe the knight. He deeply trusted the prince and cannot reconcile the man he knew with the monster who ordered this slaughter. After that, we see a pair of elegant boots walking through the grass toward the burning ruins. Finally finished up? A casual, calm voice interrupts the chaos, asking the knights if they have finished killing everyone. We see Prince Heinz stands tall against the backdrop of the burning village. He looks pristine, wearing elegant white and blue noble attire adorned with a rose, entirely unbothered by the genocide around him. "Hey there, Van." The prince spots our boy and greets him with chilling familiarity, confirming that he is indeed the mastermind behind the slaughter. Bro is really moving like the goat Eisen. First he betrayed and doomed our boy, and now he is just casually meeting him like nothing happened. After that, we see our boy's face. His pupils are wide with horror and utter betrayal as he stares up at the person he once trusted. Blood streams down his chin. Our boy's words are completely cut off. Seeing the prince there in person shatters his denial. The betrayal is officially undeniable, as we see 2 rows of heavily armored knights kneeling in deep reverence. The prince walks casually down the center aisle they've created. At the bottom, we see our boy is collapsed on the ground, cradling his little sister's lifeless body. "You're quite late. I got tired of waiting." The prince speaks to our boy as if they are just meeting up for a casual appointment, showing a psychopathic level of detachment from the horror he has caused. We see a close-up of the prince looking down at our boy with a soft, patronizing, and mocking smile. "I see. You were probably buying souvenirs. It's been a while since you went home." The prince taunts him, mocking the fact that our boy was away from home, perhaps serving the prince, only to return and find his entire race slaughtered. It cements the prince as a cold, manipulative villain. We see our boy looks up, staring in utter disbelief. He is sweating and trembling, completely blindsided by what is happening. Why? Why? Our boy is reeling from a sudden betrayal. His world has just been upended, and he is desperately looking for an explanation from someone he trusted. A close-up of the prince. His blue eyes are completely cold, devoid of any guilt or warmth. He looks down at our boy with utter disdain. "Why? It's all your fault." Instead of offering comfort or an apology, the prince immediately shifts the entire blame onto him, justifying his betrayal by making our boy out to be the guilty party. An assassin who can't be detected by any magical sensing, who can infiltrate anywhere, and kill magicians with physical strength alone. This reveals exactly why our boy is feared by everyone, as we know he belongs to a race with individuals who possess no magic themselves. But as we know, our boy has trained to perfectly bypass magical defenses and slaughter powerful sorcerers using sheer physical dominance. We see a crowd of non-magical people standing together in the ominous red shadows. And the non-magical race that created such a being. This provides the broader political explanation. The ruling class of magicians doesn't just fear our boy as an individual. They view his entire non-magical race as an existential threat because they are capable of producing weapons like him. After that, we see the prince stands elegantly, placing his hand over his heart in a mock gesture of noble duty. Both are threats that shake the peace of the magical kingdom, so they must be destroyed. The prince explains his true motive: to preserve the power structure and peace of his magical kingdom. He believes that both our boy and his entire non-magical race must be completely wiped out. As our boy on his knees in the grass, cradling the body of his little sister. "You've been deceiving me all along." The crushing realization sets in. Our boy realizes that every promise, friendship, or alliance the prince ever offered him was a calculated lie meant to keep him compliant until the trap could be sprung. A close-up of the prince's face against the backdrop of raging fire. His expression is ruthless. "I'll keep my promise. Starting today, discrimination against the Galda will disappear from the kingdom, along with the very existence of the Galda race itself." The prince delivers a sickeningly cruel twist on the past agreement. He promised our boy that he would end the discrimination against our boy's race, the Galda. He mocks that promise now, declaring that discrimination will technically end, not through equality but through complete genocide. If the Galda race no longer exists, there is no one left to discriminate against. With the prince's speech finished, a knight yells out a battle cry as he swings the sword down to strike our boy. In a final, desperate burst of survival instinct and pure rage, he catches the knight's blade with his bare hand. Despite being bleeding and broken, his physical strength as a mage killer allows him to stop the lethal blow, setting up his fight for survival and revenge. As we see, the knight tries to cut down him, but our boy recklessly catches blade with his bare hand, completely paralyzing the knight with fear. We see our boy's face. He has a feral, blood-smeared grin. He is pulling himself up by the blade he is gripping. "I'll kill you, Heinz." Fueled by pure rage at the betrayal, our boy ignores his bleeding hand and glares up with monstrous intent, vowing to kill the traitorous prince. After that, we see our boy lunging forward while still bleeding, pushing past the shocked armored knight as flames. Our boy completely breaks through the knight's defense, moving toward his true target, the prince. As the prince, looking down with cold, calculating, and slightly arrogant blue eyes. Below him, a massive magical circle begins to glow with blue and white energy. "Van, you really are a monster." Instead of being panicked by our boy's ferocity, the prince remains detached and coldly mocking, acknowledging our boy's inhuman resilience right before unleashing a massive spell. We see the prince stands calmly with one arm outstretched as an immense orb of blinding white and blue magical energy charges behind him, radiating power outward. The prince activates his high-tier magical reserves, preparing a devastating spell to completely wipe out our boy. We see the royal guards and knights desperately rally around, shouting orders to form a defensive wall. "Hey! Protect His Majesty!" Realizing the lethal chaos of the clash between the prince and our boy, the surrounding royal knights panic and scramble to shield the prince from any potential overflow of the attack. After that, we see our boy leaps cleanly over a front line of armored knights who try to block him with spears and swords. But our boy shows his godlike speed and bypasses these royal gooners entirely, closing the distance to the prince in midair. We see our boy, silhouetted against a dark, cosmic sky, winds up a powerful strike from midair while diving directly down toward the prince. Our boy initiates his ultimate combat style, declaring a secret offensive technique designed to break through the prince's magical barrier. A close-up of our boy's face upside down as he dives. His fists are completely enveloped in a violent, crushing aura of deep red and black energy. Absolute Blossom. Our boy names his final devastating technique, Absolute Blossom, unleashing a massive concentration of physical and spiritual power directly downward. The moment of impact. The massive golden magic circle created by the prince fires a piercing, drill-like beam of cyan and white energy upward to collide directly with our boy's descending red strike. As the prince looks down with cold, intensely glowing blue eyes as he unleashes a massive, blinding torrent of blue light. Lucas Sagittarius. Arrow of Light. Ultimate. The prince activates his final, most powerful magical ability to eliminate our boy. The sheer scale of the light signifies the lethal intent behind the attack. Enveloped in a brilliant blue aura from the incoming blast, as our boy fiercely channels a massive crimson aura around his upper body and hand. He is putting everything he has into a desperate defensive counter. After that, we see a fractured, desolate cliffside under a night sky. Streaks of light pierce through the air, emphasizing the explosive aftermath and destructive shockwave of their clash. As we see these royal gooners lying dead on the cracked ground, covered in blood, we see our boy stands bruised and bloodied against a dark background, his face shadowed but his posture still defiant. The prince looks down from above, his expression partially obscured by shadow, cold and detached. Even at this point, fighting while protecting a corpse. The prince mocks our boy's unwavering loyalty. Even while facing certain death and fighting a losing battle against a superior force, he refused to abandon the people he loves and care about. As we see our boy, bro really got the Toji treatment. He is heavily wounded, with a massive, bleeding gash torn through his chest and shoulder. Yet, his gaze remains sharp, glowing with an intense red light. That's just like you. Even in death, you won't kneel to the magical race. The prince recognizes our boy's indomitable spirit. He belongs to a faction that refuses to subjugate themselves to the magical race, choosing an honorable death over submission. We see a close-up of the prince as he speaks with a mix of pity and scorn. You're really so straightforward to the end, foolish guy. As we see our boy standing entirely still as a massive pillar of dark, smoky energy erupts violently from his fatal chest wound. We see his little sister lies directly behind him, proving he protected her until his final breath. The prince delivers his final parting words to his former best friend. Our boy dies on his feet, refusing to fall over or bow down, setting up a classic premise for a revenge or regression storyline. After that, we see our boy lying flat on his back, staring up blankly as life fades from his eyes. After waking up after so long, our boy is lamenting his fate, only to be used and immediately stabbed in the back before he could truly live his life. A massive, terrifying wolf with glowing red eyes stands over our boy's bleeding body. I can't have you ending things here. My revenge is not yet fulfilled. A powerful entity, likely a beast god, or a shadow ego linked to our boy, intervenes. The wolf refuses to let our boy die because their fates are intertwined, and the wolf still needs him alive to achieve its own vengeance. A close-up of the giant wolf snarling, "It can't be helped. I'll give you one chance." The entity decides to activate a forbidden or ultimate ability, time regression. It is offering our boy a single, final opportunity to rewrite history. We see our boy's face begins to dissolve or blur into a dark, swirling red vortex as his consciousness slips away. Next time, do it better. The entity throws him back into the past with a strict warning. Do not repeat the same mistakes, and make sure to successfully execute the revenge next time. After that, we see our boy opens his eyes to see dust motes dancing in a warm beam of sunlight hitting a modest wooden ceiling. Confusion sets in. Instead of feeling the icy cold of death or the pain of the prince's betrayal, he wakes up in a peaceful, rustic environment. Our boy holds up his hands, staring at his palms in complete shock. Am I alive? He checks his own body to confirm reality. The phantom pain of his death wounds is gone, and he realizes his consciousness is fully intact. As we see a crude stone fireplace and wooden walls, our boy realizes he isn't in a palace or a battlefield. He recognizes the architecture as a place from his distant youth before everything went wrong. After that, we see his little sister pops up from a ladder leading to the lower floor, smiling brightly. Big brother, you finally woke up. This is the definitive proof of regression. Seeing his little sister alive and well confirms that our boy has successfully traveled back in time to his childhood home, giving him the perfect head start to get stronger. Lena? You're alive. Having just faced a brutal death and betrayal by the prince in his previous timeline, our boy wakes up to see his little sister, Lena, making her sudden, healthy appearance the ultimate shock that forces him to realize something impossible has happened. Big brother, what are you saying? Are you still half asleep? She looks at him with a mix of concern and mild confusion. To her, it is just a normal morning, completely unaware of the horrific future and death her brother just experienced a moment ago. Go wash your face already. Mom made a feast to celebrate. Celebrate? Our boy repeats the word, celebrate internally, his mind struggling to bridge the gap between the battlefield, execution block he just died on, and this peaceful, domestic setting. Come on. Today is Big Brother's birthday. His little sister turns back with a bright, enthusiastic expression, pointing at him to remind him of the occasion. This serves as the anchor point for our boy to figure out exactly when he has been sent back to. That's right, Van. Get it together. You're 15 years old now. The mother enters holding a soup ladle, smiling warmly and teasingly scolding him. This established that our boy has regressed to his 15th birthday, a time long before the prince's betrayal, giving him a clean slate to change his fate. This place. 10 years ago. Our boy stands in front of a mirror, staring intently at his youthful, white-haired reflection. He touches the surface as the truth finally settles in. He hasn't just survived. He has traveled an entire decade back into the past. Armed with the memories of his future death, the gears are already turning on how he will get his revenge and protect his family.